When you're adding slicers to your report, if you want to slice on a date field, we've got two special types of slicer control that really help for working with dates. So I'm going to grab my order date field and drag it onto my canvas here and turn this into a slicer. And you can see that by virtue of the fact that it is a data type field, you actually get this range picker to select between two different date ranges or two different dates. And if I want to start slicing, I can either drag the handles of this to select the date range that I'm interested in, and it'll choose to go between those two dates that I specify. Or I can type into these boxes, click on them, and then I can either type the date in directly or use this picker control to say, here's a range of dates that I want to choose. So let's go back to 2016 and choose that week from the 8th to the 15th of March. I can also use this drop down on the slicer to choose, do I want to set it between two particular dates, before an individual date? So it's like any dates in my data before 9/16, or anything after a particular date. I can go back to the list or drop down slicers if I want to. And I can also use a relative date range slider. Now this means that it's always going to be relative to today. So if I want to see any data that happened, any data that appeared in the last week, I can select that, and I'll see a little restatement that will tell me what date range has finally been selected based on this. So this is going from 4/5 to 4/11. If I was to load this report up tomorrow, those dates would have shifted, and it would say 4/6 to 4/12. I've got the option to choose between a particular set of days. So if I wanted to see the last 30 days, that's now selected, so it'll run from 3/12 to 4/10. If I wanted to see something in the last number of weeks, I've got that choice. And the difference between weeks and weeks calendar, weeks always does the last 7 days, no matter what day of the week it is today. But weeks calendar will always go back to the previous Sunday to Saturday and give you kind of a calendar week. So that's useful if you always want to be comparing kind of the same date range in your data if it's like a weekly periodicity. The same goes for months, right? So if I choose the last 1 month, it will go back to the same day of the month in the last month, so from March 12th to April the 11th. But if I choose the last calendar month, it will go from the start of March to the end of March. And that will vary depending on the number of days in your month. So if the previous month was February, it would go from the 1st of February to the 28th of February, or 29th if it's a leap year. And then years does the same thing. Last 1 year takes me back to the same day the previous year, whereas the calendar year will go from the 1st of January to the 31st of December. I can choose either the last certain number of years or the next number of years if you're looking at data that maybe includes forecast, where you've got data that might be coming in the future. And I can also say the current year or day or week or month, etc., etc. So the current week would give me the date range that includes today. As you can see, in the current year, going up to that level, would go from the 1st of January to the end of December for this current year. So this gives you a really flexible way of choosing a date range as well. The final thing that you can do is over in the formatting pane, you'll see there's an option here to include today. And when I change that, you'll see that the date range gets shifted by 1 day. So does that date range run up to include data that arrived today, or should we start from the end of the previous day? So there's a few different options that you've got to control slicing on a date field that makes it really easy to navigate and slice and choose different periods of date, different periods of time when you're slicing the data in your report.